Hello there, welcome.
Hello.
Ryan, that's a beautiful pink shirt.
Thank you. It's spring.
Yes.
Although it was snowing here on Saturday. So
Look at you, Lisa, but 20 minutes. Sarita Winthrop,
Rita!
OMG. Yes. Hello there, everyone. As we're logging in, Andy Fenech joining us from Texas. Hashtag no big deal. If you can please take a moment and introduce yourself in the chat. Just say your name, where in the world you are. Also, if there are any questions that are top of mind for you, anything that you're like, ooh, I really need to know this, I really want to know this, please put that in the chat. We have Lori from Brooklyn. We have the top row, which is representing Bushwick, New York. Deborah and Jacqueline. Lisa is in New York. Andy Fenech is a physical therapist in San Antonio, Texas. He recently left New York City and went to San Antonio, Texas. Angie from San Francisco via Edinburgh. Christian is joining us from Germany at the moment. Christian, it's great to have you back on this talk. I'm managing, hold on. Okay, great. We have a little music playing in the background. I love that hat collection.
That's Alessandra.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Hello there, everyone. As we're coming into the space, if you can take a moment to introduce yourself in the chat function, just say your name, where you are in the world. Silvana is clearly joining us from San Francisco with that background, giving us a lot of San Francisco realness.
I'm actually in Orange County. Pleasure to connect with you guys.
You're California. You're giving us some California-ness.
There we go.
Hello there, Heidi. Welcome back.
And hi, Eduardo. I didn't realize I was muted, so just wanted to say thank you for the hat collection response. And hi, everyone. Alessandra and Enrico here.
Are you guys in Thailand or are you?
No, unfortunately, we are not. We're in Mexico at the moment.
Okay, great. Okay, in Mexico.
It is horrible. I mean, that sounds a lot horrible, more horrible than it is. So it's actually not bad.
Danny is in Silvard, New York City. Okay, so in New York, we have Leslie in Dallas. Brian from New York City, hiding out in Provincetown. We have
life is hard in Provincetown.
Yes. Jacqueline, keep breathing, honey. We have more people adding on. Yes. Hello, we have our little tunes playing here. A little Here Comes the Sun. It's been a little bit of a tradition with our Fearless Chat series, now at number 10. It's going to take another 2 minutes or so to settle in as we have people gathering. If you can introduce yourself in the chat function, just say your name, where you are in the world, maybe a little bit about what you do if you feel so inspired, maybe something top of mind, something that inspired you to be on this call. Hello, Christian. It's great to see you, Christian. If you are able to be on video, it really helps so that we can see your face. We totally get that there are multiple ways in which we are managing and splitting our time. So if you are unable, I understand. And if you are able, we really welcome the opportunity to see your face and join us in our virtual presence. Hello, Allison. Hello, Yancy.
Morgan's
Hello,
here.
Jennifer. Hello, Kel. And thank you, Kel, for putting your pronouns on your thing. I'm going to do the same on mine.
Yeah, the sun did just come out here just in time for this.
Yeah, yep.
And I was just thinking, Jack.
And we'll be starting momentarily. It's great to see so many familiar faces on this Tuesday. Hello, Robin Dillard.
Robin Dillard.
Giving us some purple realness. Yes. Love those glasses. Okay. Okay, we're moving to that. Okay, so great. So welcome to Fearless Chat 10, starring Jacqueline Romano. Da 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 da.
Hello.
Hello. Before we begin, I'm going to pass the baton over to Deborah Driscoll. She is our Fearless Associate here at Fearless Communicators. We're going to do a little grounding meditation to get centered and align us here in this virtual space. So Deborah, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's such a delight to see so many faces on the screen. Some faces I haven't seen for a while, some I've never seen before, some returning. And with that, I take a deep breath and invite you to just find your comfortable position with where you are. You may already be in it. You may want to shift a little bit or shake something out. And if it's available to you, just close your eyes for a moment. Taking in a big, deep breath through the nose. And then letting it out on a sigh. And we'll just do that again. Just the biggest, deepest breath you've taken all day. And then let that go. Placing one or both of your hands onto your chest heart space. Just feeling that beat that continues. And feel it working in beautiful relationship to your breath. Your breath will continue in and out, and the heartbeat will continue on and on. And at times, our breath can deepen. At times, our heartbeat can quicken. That they are ever present with us. So just taking this simple moment to connect to your breath with ever how deep or shallow it is, just accept how it is, and just breathe into that heart space. With that heart space activated, now find something brand new to be grateful for in this moment. Just allow it to drop in. Something that's either making you smile, something you're appreciating, something you haven't acknowledged that's actually good. And just sending out a little thanks out into the ether on your heartbeat and your gratitude. Taking another big deep breath in, letting it go, allowing the edges of your mouth just to crawl up a little bit into a smile. And I thank you for being here. I'm grateful for all of you being here. Now I pass the baton back to Mr. Fearless, Eduardo.
Yes. Thank you so much for that, Deborah. Elevated sparkulation. We call this elevated sparkulation in Fearless Communicators. It's a little bit of applauding. It is a little bit of love and light that we radiate. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eduardo Placer. I am the founder of Fearless Communicators. We are a diverse and inclusive public speaking coaching business. We work with thought leaders on what they say and how they say it. We started this Fearless Chat series almost 6 or 7 weeks ago. We were stepping into the emerging uncertainty around what was happening in our world. I live in New York City, and I had been in San Francisco, actually with some of the women on this call. We were leading our Fearless Force program, which is, we have several alumni in our call right now. Ladies who are graduates of the Fearless Force program, yes. It's a program we do with women, elevating their voices. We've done it all over the world, 19 programs. Over 100 women have participated. We were doing our 19th in San Francisco, and the night before the women were showcasing their talks, all events were canceled in San Francisco. And we had to put a pause. And then I found myself on a plane to Boulder, Colorado, and then really clear that New York did not feel like the place that I wanted to return to in the moment.
Yeah.
Was in Boulder for about a week and a half, realized I was not a mountain gay. The hills are not alive with the sound of music for me there. And had the opportunity to return to where my parents live in Miami Beach. Their apartment is empty because they're in Boston with my sister. They got trapped up there, and have been now quarantining and socially distancing here in Miami Beach. And what I knew to lean into in this moment of uncertainty and anxiety and fear was that there were people who I have the privilege to know and work, who are my clients, who are thinking about the things that are top of mind at this moment. And it is in that space that we started our first Fearless Chat with one of our alumni of our Fearless Force program. Her name is Dr. Kelly Jennings. We talked about what else we can do besides wash our hands. Allison Davis, who's on this call, led one of our talks about heart-centered sales and how we sell in this market. We talked about cybersecurity. We've talked about branding. We've talked about storytelling. And I am so honored and excited to have Jacqueline Romano on our call. So elevated sparkulation to Jacqueline Romano. Jacqueline Romano is a collaborator of ours at Fearless Communicators. I am going to be announcing that there is a documentary around our work that will be premiering tonight after this call. Hashtag no big deal, that Jacqueline's been working on since our program. And I can't think of a more empathic, loving, heart-centered storyteller than Jacqueline, who's really committed not just to the stories, but to the human beings that are behind the stories, and ultimately the human beings who are receiving the stories. So with that as a background, we're going to have a really practical conversation about how we can get into action around sharing the content that we have. So with all of that in the background, Jacqueline, hi!
Hello everyone.
So Jacqueline, just an opportunity, one, to introduce yourself. You know, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, your platform. So you're the editor and co-founder of Blindfold, which is a digital magazine space that features activists and social entrepreneurs. I want to talk a little about that. And then also, I think it's really fitting also because of the work that you've done, and Alessandra's on the call, to talk a little about the documentary that you've shot about young boys and the sex trafficking industry in Thailand. So let's give that as a context, and then we'll jump into the meat.
Okay. So for the past 10 or more years, I've been working one-on-one with my own clients on branding their meaningful work, helping them communicate the work that they're doing and the things that they believe that gave them the purpose to create this work and the offerings that they're providing in service of others. I, for a while, was working on a print magazine as creative director called Blindfold, and we released 9 issues before I took it over from the original founder and brought it online. That was 2015. So we rebranded the magazine so that it was more geared toward an online platform. We began not only releasing written articles, but also short documentaries, since that's more my direction. That's what I thrive in. And so we've released series of documentaries, as Eduardo likes to call them. They're 3 to 5 minutes in length, and they tell the stories of amazing advocates, activists, and organizations that are doing meaningful work in the world, removing the blindfold on global issues and revealing the truth. So
Super. I just felt that one through my body. Removing the blindfold and sharing the truth. Ooh, it's called Blindfold, Lisa, and we'll share the information with that. Yeah.
So also in working on Blindfold, we released an article called Generation Y Changemakers. And in that volume that we released, I found the story of Alessandra Russell, the woman with the hats in the background. I reached out to her because I was so inspired by her work. She's the founder of Urban Light, urban-light.org, if you want to check it out. And she empowers, restores, and offers methods to get boys to a life beyond the bars in the red light districts of Chiang Mai, Thailand, who are being exploited and abused there. So I reached out to her, and we did a fundraising campaign to send me and another filmmaker out to Thailand. And that's when I started my project that I just finished editing. It's my longest documentary film at 38 minutes. And we're very excited. It tells the stories of the activists who are working very hard to give these boys a life beyond the bars, to fight for their rights and the justice that they deserve, and the vulnerabilities that come with being a boy who's being exploited and abused in sex trafficking. So it's a very, I'm very passionate about this project, and I'm really looking forward to working with Alessandra on putting it out there, and doing work to really just fight for their justice and hopefully make some policy changes, raise awareness, which is so important because many people don't know that boys are victims of sex trafficking and exploitation. So we're feeling good about what we'll be able to do using this film as a tool.
Awesome. So just wanted to create the space for that acknowledgement for that beautiful work to both you, Jacqueline, and also Alessandra. So we're just going to give major elevated sparkulation for that. And if you have, if you're interested in that, Alessandra did put the name of the organization there. And I just feel like, one, that's been a huge connector to me, for us, you know, in your advocacy, in this conversation, and the stories that you have been involved in telling, and also your own awakening as a storyteller. So what do you find has been, because you're someone who's been behind the camera, before, and you're stepping into the camera. And I think for a lot of the people that are here on this call, you know, I think that what's emerging now is an opportunity to step into the camera for people who have maybe held the space. For example, Carrie Kirkella, who's on the call, is a photographer, right? Now she's also now stepping in front of the screen to start speaking about her story. And I think there are other people here who in this landscape are now also getting away from being behind the light and the camera and also stepping forward. So I just want to create some space for you to talk a little bit about that journey for you.
Yeah, I think for a long time, I felt safer to stay unseen. As a queer woman who's experienced sexual assault and abuse, I just that's the space that I felt safer in, is not really speaking my truth and being behind the camera, helping other people rise up and shine and share their stories. And it really wasn't until I met Eduardo and started working with him and joined the Fearless Force Circle in San Francisco in September. And I finally spoke my truth for the first time, that I realized how important it is for all of us to be authentic, sharing our truth and connecting with others as humans. It just really not only brings validation to your own experiences, and kind of a weight lifted off of how something that you were holding in for so long, that you're now sharing, and people accept you still and love you still, and your truth is validated. So as someone who had never shared their story and then now is open about their story and felt empowered through that process, I learned from that what it's like to be on the other side of the camera as the person speaking, and how important it is, even more so, to sharing stories and connecting from the heart. Whether you're in business and you're branding your business, or you're doing activism work, or whatever it may be.
So awesome. And thank you again and I know that this was something for you to also identify two things on this call. One, yourself as a queer person, and then two, acknowledging yourself as someone who is a survivor of assault. So like one, like those two moments of stepping into sharing that, I just want to acknowledge that and elevate, sparkle at you, and like acknowledge the shit out of that. So that is like, again, the step of that courage of stepping into it and owning that. And what I'm really excited about this for all of us is that Jackie, because we've gone on, we've taken a sneak peek. She's created a roadmap for everyone around what to do with the content that we're either creating or the content that we're sitting on, so that we can really make the most of this time to share authentically about who we are and what we're up to with our audiences. So Jackie, do you want to make the thing?
Yeah, so I'll share my screen. It's a PDF with some steps you can take that will give you something to do. I know that a lot of people are thinking of ways that they can work on their business while they're inside and they're not able to have contact with others. And I think this is a great time to be doing that. You just may not know exactly what steps they are and how to work through them. So I put some things together that I'll share with you after through a link. So don't feel like you have to write everything down that I'm saying. But
and I also wanted to jump in two things quickly. One, Jacqueline also is going to share this PDF with everyone. So whatever the presentation that she's going to have, she will send to all of you. If you don't want to receive it via email, please send a private message to me saying I would rather not receive it. Otherwise, she will email you directly. I will share the email. She'll email with you directly. And before we jump in, I just want to acknowledge, I don't know your name, but the woman who's carrying the baby in this thing, I love it. Your baby is welcome. You and your baby are welcome in this space. Like, love it. I love that, Debbie. I love that you're on here.
Having me. I feel the warmth, I feel the love, and Finley and I, we are all ears, and we're just saying hello.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love it. So for parents with kids, you're welcome in this space. Have the kids. We don't care. Everybody's welcome. So I just wanted to acknowledge you. Thank you for being in the space. Thank you for bringing your child into the space. We just feel so welcome to have you and Finley both together here. Okay, Jackie, on to you.
Okay. So.
And if you have questions as they arise, please use the chat function. I'll be navigating the chat function and I'll steer in that direction.
Can everybody see? Okay. So the first thing before getting started with managing your whole digital ecosystem, which is your website, where you're present in your social platforms, be it Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I think it's important to first get clear on how you're presenting your offerings and yourself to the people that you're trying to reach. So again, you can read through this later, but I have some points here of things that you can just reflect on. And it can be used as a writing exercise, kind of free flow. And then once you've gotten through it, you can go back and make it clear and concise. So you want to ask yourself questions like, who is your client? What and where are they spending their time and money on? What problems or needs might they have that you are offering a solution to? And in that, you want to create a story. So what is the problem, which would be, I guess, like an antagonist figure, and what is the problem that you're trying to solve? What are you as the hero or the protagonist offering that will help them with that problem? As a leader, how will you guide them using your expertise? And then details like what background do you have, things like that. But the most important thing that I feel to really accentuate is from the heart, why are you doing this work? Why should they believe in the work that you're doing? Why should they choose you over someone else who's offering the same thing? And it can look like maybe did you have the same problem that you're now offering something to resolve that problem for? What did that look like for you? Did you have an experience that inspired you, gave you the passion to do this work? What does that look like? So kind of working through that storyline and then going back and really making it clear, concise, and when you think about your ideal client, how would they want to hear about your story? What words would they relate to or resonate with? And how would it make it clear for them specifically to understand? Because you're not speaking to yourself necessarily, but other people. So you want to come from, kind of put yourself in their place. So once you have that,
I want to jump in here for a second because there are two things. One that I want to double click on. I love what you said, coming from a heart-centered place.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, one of the things that I would offer is that, you know, in creating the space that you're going to do this exercise, like to really connect as you're doing it, that you're coming from the heart. Like really, like let that be the container for the experience. Because it's really to try to get into your head and you try to figure it out. But to really slow down and connect from the heart, I think is really powerful. And then I'm going to quote Deborah. That I think that once you put everything down, I love that you said concise, right? And Deborah calls it killing the darlings, right? Because sometimes we can get, I have an English degree and I can get a little verbose, right? So I think sometimes it's helpful once you see it all there to be able to like, do I need that? No, don't need that, right?
Yeah, I think everyone can relate to the fact that there's just like an overwhelm of information online, and I know that you've commented on that before, that there's just so much being put out there. So I think being concise in the way that you're presenting that in your story, and also coming from the heart, because people now especially are wanting to really connect with you and feel that you're coming from an authentic place and you're not just trying to sell them something because you want money, but because you actually want them as your client and they'll identify with you as a person.
Awesome.
Yeah. So once you get clear with your copy, you want to clean it up and then make sure that you update it on your website. So there are some very simple to use website platforms if you haven't built your website yet, like Wix.com or Squarespace, that you can use on your own, or you can hire someone to update it for you or create you a new website. But it's very important to not only update your copy on your website, but also make sure that your photos are up to date. Are you using photos that you've taken within the last year or two? Are you using updated branding practices? And you can kind of get an idea on whether they're updated and more modern or not by kind of looking at your competitors, I guess, or people that you admire, that you would kind of want to reflect the vibe of. So you want to make sure that's all taken care of. And then once you have that, make sure that you are distributing that throughout your whole digital ecosystem. So when, like, if you're using LinkedIn, if that's where your audience is, if you're using Facebook or YouTube because you do YouTube tutorials or workshops like these, make sure that you're updating your banners and your profile picture throughout across the board.
I don't know if anybody else wants to comment, but I feel like I'm very delinquent on that. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but I feel like between like LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, like there's so many platforms, and I think that, you know, creating the space to have like that consistent feel across all of those is extremely valuable.
Yeah, it's a little time consuming and not the most fun, but we have time now to do that. So why not use it? Because once things go back to where we aren't stuck inside, we likely won't make the time for that. So you want to kind of use this space.
And it's both visual, but also the copy. So the copy is consistent on all of those platforms, the images, all of those resources. Should your personal image look the same, or should it be of the same, like the same shoot? Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, for example, this website that I have here, we use some images of the business owner speaking, some portraits of her. You want to give a range. So it really is, it depends per case by case, but say you're doing speaking engagements like you would, I would say you want to have 1 or 2 images of you in the about section or the team section that are more portrait style could be the same shoot, but definitely within the last year or 2. And then mix that in with photos from events that you've spoken at, the audience members, things like that. You want to have a little bit of variation, but make sure they're as recent as possible.
I feel inspired to start a new trend, which is like the quarantine social distancing realness headshot, which is like the new streak of white that I have on my neck, right? The gray that's growing in because people don't have access to the dye job, the hair that is completely and totally a mess because people can't get to the salon. Like, I would love to see like the realness of like branded headshots for the current moment. Like, I think if there's anybody who's up for that game, like, I just would find that so refreshing. You know?
That trend. Now's the time to play around and just be weird.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I want to speak to creating new content. The foundation that I was speaking about before is a good example of that. Urban Light just reached out to me to create a new video for them to commemorate their 10 years being active and doing the work for these boys. And we can't be on the ground making new footage. So what I'm talking about in this slide is creating content from what you already have. So just because you can't film anything new, to create a video that's kind of explaining your services, why you're doing what you're doing, bringing it back to that first exercise that you'll do. You can use that as sort of a script, and you don't have to have right now a new video filmed by a professional crew, you can use Zoom footage that you record yourself. You can use archived or stock footage to create a story with a voiceover. You can add motion to photos that you've had in your archives. Animated graphics. There are ways to create new content, and if you want to learn how to video edit, you can. There are YouTube tutorials where you can learn how to use iMovie or Final Cut Pro, or you can invest in yourself and hire a video editor to create that. In the work that I've done, I've practiced multiple methods of sharing people's work and promoting what they do. And I've found that video is the most effective way to connect with others. So I would recommend that at some point, whether you create one now or you wait till after we're back to being in contact with each other, is to really prioritize creating a bio video for yourself and your business, like the one that Eduardo's going to share later. But yeah.
Jacqueline, for the people, so I know that there are people who may want to be creating a bio video. Can you break that down? Like if we're doing like a minute bio video or something like that, something on the smaller side of the spectrum, like what do you think should be the elements of it? Like what are the things that you would want to be looking for specifically as someone who has an editing background? So people can be sure that it's not just like, I'm just going to verbally vomit for a minute and a half and that's going to be my video, right?
So you would go over first introducing yourself and your title, your role, and what your business is. Then the things that you're offering. So you can just list them out. And then once you've done that, then you go back to where the passion for your work came from. And you can say this in a very concise way. It doesn't have to be the longer format version of that, because like you said, 1 to 2 minutes is kind of the, especially if you're using it on social media, the cap for keeping people's attention. And so going over who you are, what your business is, the things that you're offering, why you're offering them, and what people can expect as a result of doing that work with you.
Okay, so introduce yourself, who you are, right? What you do.
Yep.
How you serve them. Then like what are the things you actually offer? And then would you then move into like a story of how you help people, or where does the...
Yeah, and it can look, since it's a shorter form video that we're talking about, you can say that in a very concise way, where the passion came from, or what you realized was an issue that you wanted to be involved in creating a solution for.
I love this step of like, what is the passion? And I think it goes back to the heart center. Like, I think of Flashdance, take your passion, make it happen. You know, take your passion, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I have my inner Flashdance is like on fire. But and it goes back to the heart center thing. There's a famous Maya Angelou quote, which is, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel.
Yeah.
And it is in that heart-centered connection to speaking to the passion that it awakens a feeling in someone else that has them remember you. If they don't feel anything, they're not gonna engage with whatever the content is that you're creating.
Yeah, especially if you're working with wanting to get new clients or new customers. Just in all of the work that I've done with Blindfold, with my own branding clients, I've just found that there's so much more success in creating those connections and retaining clients when you're coming from an authentic place and sharing your story. And because people want to believe in what you're doing, they want to believe the things that you believe in, as long as it's coming from a place of heart, authenticity, truth. So, you know, people are intuitive, they can tell.
They can get it. We can smell bullshit a mile away. You're like, not feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. are we done with step 4? Are we ready for step 5?
Yes. And when you get this little PDF that I'm going to send you, I put a link here that you can watch that video example. This video that I shared here is a mixture of a camera interview, but also archived footage that was used. So that's why I put it as an example. This is a mock-up of an Instagram story that I created for Urban Light, just to use as an example. But again, with creating new content that you say you have like a promotion going on or an event that you want to advertise for. I did this today for this Zoom conversation to promote that and invite people. You don't have to, you can hire someone to create graphics for you and a package for, say, social media feed graphics to promote, say, a sale or something that you have going on. But you can also do it yourself if you want to learn. There's a really great website called Canva. It's canva.com. It has so many templates and is pretty straightforward to use. So if you want to check that out, I would recommend doing that. And to make sure that when you're using Canva to create graphics, you're not only just using the templates, but you're switching the fonts to match your branding. So say you use Arial as your font on your website, you want to change the fonts that they have in the templates to match Arial font. And then the colors that they have there, you can switch to the colors that you use on your website, just to make sure that, again, you're consistent throughout your whole digital ecosystem. It builds trust in keeping things consistent and throughout. So,
and I don't know if people have experience. I sometimes get paralyzed specifically with Instagram stories, and like I feel like I'm great at posting Instagram, but Instagram I get lost, and I feel like I get stuck in the wheel of not doing it right. And thanks to Allison Davis, who's on this call, she introduced me to Canva, and I was like, oh my God, it's so fun. Because I tend to get like Photoshop to me is really intense, and like I think you have to be a genius to operate that. And I want it simple, I want it flashy, I want it easy to use, you know. And I found Canva to be really helpful. So if you are someone who has an aversion to that stuff, I want to say that Canva, there's a little plug for that. I think it's free.
Most of it is free. There's few things that you have to pay for, and it's surprising that they offer that for no cost, but they do. So check it out. Since it is free, you can play around with it.
And Savannah also recommends Banner Snack as an option. So, so yes to Canva, and then Banner Snack seems to be another tool that people use that can allow a little more customization. Yeah.
So yeah, you can create Instagram story graphics. You can create graphics for your feed, use photos that you have from the past or even videos, and you can make it look fresh by adding new graphics and promotions and things like that. And then this is the final one. It's planning to thrive. So it's good to stay present and work on what you want to be working on while we're indoors, but also we're going to come out of this at some point. So you want to kind of plan ahead, plan to thrive. And to do that, you can think about what branding elements you want to update on your website and your social media platforms. So branding practices recommend that every 6 months you do a new bio and lifestyle photo shoot. So portrait style headshots, kind of you doing your thing so that people can connect with you and see you doing the work that you do. And then I recommend doing a bio video or something to highlight the work that you're doing every 1 to 2 years, just because people want to, you know, things are constantly changing and you want to stay up to date. So
Jacqueline, you know, considering the context that we're in right now, there may be people who are like, oh, I was due for an update, and who knows when things will shift. Like, what are what are the do-it-yourself, I feel like we're in a DIY context.
Yeah.
What would you say are the top do-it-yourself things to do in this moment?
For a video specifically?
For video, also for headshots or pictures or events and stuff like that?
So I would say for promotional things, stick to the using old photos and use updated graphics with what we talked about before. For video and new photos, let's address photos first. So you can honestly, I did this the other day with someone. I set up FaceTime calls with them, went into some nice window lighting, and set up the phone and had them take a photo through FaceTime. So I was able to see myself on the camera, and then they took the photo. So I was able to back up and frame it in the way that I wanted to be framed. So that's one way that you could do it.
That is super crafty, Jacqueline Romano. That gets elevated sparkleish for that.
Anyone wants to do one with me, I'm down.
I love that you also get to be a little bit of a photo editor. Do you know what I mean? In that context too. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And then for video, you can either speak to the camera to Zoom and record yourself, or you can hire someone. So I've been working on video projects where I instruct the other person how to set up their computer and what lighting to have on them, and how to set up the audio. And I record them on my end so that we can create a new video for them. Yeah. So it's a less costly way to do it, and it is likely temporary, since you'll want a higher quality production later down the road. But it is one way to do it. And honestly, people understand that you're not going to have highly produced content right now. So if you wanted to just speak to your camera, use the window light, or you can use your laptop and then shine the flashlight from your cell phone onto yourself and create lighting from that.
I have not heard that hack.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was like, are there any products that you think that we should buy? Because I feel like my Instagram feed or my like Facebook feed is like, buy this light, you know, feature whatever. And I love your like, just turn on the flashlight.
Yeah. I use that before all of this. I was using that hack for taking food photos. Yeah, I would have one flashlight here and then another phone to take the pictures. So yeah, you can make it happen. There are lights that you can get, like pretty cheap ring lights on. A ring light is a circle light that makes you look super glam and flawless, for like $70 on Amazon if you wanted to do that. So that is an option. Something else you can do with video that could be helpful for adding to your website or as a way to promote your services is connect with your clients who have used your services or purchased your products on Zoom calls. Have them light themselves in that way, and then record them doing a video testimonial. That's a much more effective way to share their experiences with you than having the written text. So
you would have them do it on Zoom, and then you would record the Zoom session, but you would do it not in gallery mode, but in the portrait one. So they're just the one that's there, and then you would. But then would you be in it? Or would you go?
You would be in it. I don't believe there's a way to turn yourself off.
To turn yourself off. Okay, that would be another hack. And I think that's one of the, but I think that's part of the, like, I don't know if I would mind. Like, it's like, it is having like an interview with a previous client talking. It's like a new, context testimonial that's actually a conversation as opposed to like an awkward, you know, here I am on the wall, you know.
There might be a way to crop it out or to not have it on there, but I mean, I know not everyone does video editing, but I could crop it out in post-production in a video editing program.
So that would be another option that you could hire someone to do something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So is there another slide, or is this the?
That is it.
Great. So I'm curious, you know, we have, yay, Jackie, yes. So we do have a little bit of time, and I'm just curious if anyone, you know, has any specific questions or would like to hot seat with Jacqueline, you know, with some, you know, questions that they may have about something that they're currently facing around their storytelling content, their digital landscape, anything like that. Would anyone like to jump in to a little hot seat situation? Silvana. Great.
And okay. Hi, everyone. First, Jacqueline, thank you so much for your vulnerability, for your time. I love that you gave us the space. You know, you led by example by opening the space with your heart. And so when you actually started going into kind of the content, I was able to relate it because you had already displayed that. So first, thank you for that, because oftentimes people go into their bullet points, but then you kind of get lost in translation. So thank you for actually showcasing what you're speaking about. And with that, my question for you, in finding your identity, right, you kind of spoke about the power of narrative, especially when it comes to branding. What is the power that you find in owning your identity, right? As you mentioned before, you were in this space to share your finding as a queer person, and thank you for your vulnerability with your experience of violence. I too have that experience, and I'm actually in the process of getting trained and licensed to advocate for those that have also experienced any sort of sexual trauma and violence. But what freedom did you find in formulating that definition of identity? That's a little bit of a loaded question.
Yeah. Again, I feel that even with marketing my own services, it went down even that far where I was really hiding behind the work that I was doing, or the other platforms that I had available, like Blindfold or the documentary film. I wasn't really presenting myself in my full light of, I'm the director of this film, I'm the co-founder and editor of this magazine, and for clients, just like fully putting myself out there, even in like my own branding photography and of myself to use in promotion. So I feel that once I actually spoke my story and put myself out there in that way, and it offered me to get more comfortable with myself. It built my own confidence up. I feel like I had like a magical growth spurt after that experience. It really helped a lot with my confidence in by presenting myself in that way and being open, speaking from the heart. And I noticed in a lot of the other video bio videos or founder videos, or even short docs that I've put out there for people in sharing their stories, is that they also had little confidence boosters or felt more value in their work. I want to say a lot of them have risen their prices afterwards, or after showcasing their videos online, using that as a way to express in a deeper, more authentic way the work that they're doing. They were offered opportunities that they weren't offered in the past because of that connection that others had to them in that way. So does that answer the question?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your time, and I really hope to connect with you on a future project that I'm working on. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, beautiful, Silvana. Does anyone else have a question for Jacqueline, or wants to step in with any questions specifically about their brand or specifically what's emerging for them in this moment?
I would like to just thank you so much for doing that. And I just find it very moving the way Eduardo's and Deborah's course is such a confidence builder and helps clarify things. And I feel as though, and I'm not sure that you will agree, but I think so, that there's more power that comes from the way in which you, for example, have shared the power by telling us all this and giving away that which you've worked so hard on, which creates more power for everybody that can hear it. So I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, thanks, Sarita.
Before we move over, I think Alessandra wants to share. So Sarita, I just want to acknowledge, Sarita, I didn't begin without acknowledging our elder in the room. So Sarita was a participant in our Fearless Force program. She has the distinction of being the eldest member. And when we hold space, we always begin by asking permission of the elder before we begin. And so may we continue, Sarita?
Please do. I'm honored. And I had completely forgotten about that.
Amazing. Okay, so Alessandra has a question and Allison Davis has a question.
Great, thank you. Jackie, I have a question. For example, Enrico, who's starting his business, helping small businesses and mom and pop stores who are very much affected by COVID right now in Italy. That's going to be his target right now, and it's something that he's very moved to do to help support those local businesses to hopefully stay open and afloat during this time of social distancing. I think the biggest challenge is how do we sell the importance of what is happening online to generations that may not be so familiar with Instagram and content creation and Facebook. I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is trying to have people see the benefit. And so I would love to know kind of how you've gone about selling your services to clients, or just having them see that this could potentially really benefit them.
I think that the initial writing exercise that's on one of the first slides will be really helpful. And when you're going through that, and I know all of our stories are complex. There's not just like one way that we've experienced life, but when you're thinking about those people that are on the ground there, I would think about, where are they consuming information? Where would they hear about the work that you're doing? Would they be on LinkedIn? Would you maybe reach out to the types of places that they're going to, like restaurants or places like that on the ground, where you can kind of partner with them to share the work that you're offering? It might just, because they're older generations, be more grassroots, which you are familiar with. And then when you're conveying your story, the reason why you're doing this work, I would really get in touch with what you know they would identify with, the part of your story that they would feel a connection to, that will make them feel understood, seen, heard, and that you really care about, that you really understand that the work you're doing will help with the issues that they're having specifically. So like, you're coming in as someone who understands in depth what they're going through, and you figured out that this will help them in a specific way.
Thank you, Jackie.
And the only thing that I'm feeling compelled to share as an and to that is that it's not just a one communication, but a multi-pronged approach. So they're getting the message over and over and over and over and over again, because I think it's not just in this moment, this is one communication that's going, so I'm going to do that. And then people may respond or may not respond, but I think it may be a continual sharing and validating of it over the course of several communication engagements to really instill that trust of that communication, where it's coming.
Can I add something?
Sure, Sarita, and then Allison Davis has a question. Yeah.
Okay, just that I wondered if you get some college students, some even high school seniors, and ask them to communicate with their grandparents. I'm speaking for a lot of friends who were wishing that we could ask our grandchildren, what can we learn from you? And I really think that there's potential in that, of getting them to be aware of this, and then have them talk to their grandparents who will have more money to be able to fund some of these things. So that's just a suggestion.
I love that. That is a yes, Sarita Winthrop. Hashtag not a deal. Sarita Winthrop dropping knowledge. Yes. Allison Davis.
Yes. So I know there's at least a couple of us on this call who serve clients who I'm sure we wish they would invest in some video like this, especially from a sales perspective. I believe in the power of video, and especially the kind that you're doing, Jackie. So my request was going to be, when you email us, if you have access to any stats that could help us refer your work better, or, you know, I hate the word convince, but, you know, sway our clients a little bit to show them the power of not just regular old video, but the real storytelling type that you do.
Absolutely. I can definitely do that.
Cool.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
And Sophie Jacoby Parisi, I think you had a quick question. Did you have a question?
Hi, all. So I struggle, thank you guys so much, but to get to the point, I'm a divorce lawyer. I'm married and I have children. I do believe that, you know, presenting myself as who I am, like some of my kids have special needs and some challenges, and, you know, that definitely serves me better when I am working with families who have those challenges. But in terms of my social media, my Instagram, which is, I also can't have multiple platforms, but Instagram can be super personal, and I share, you know, pictures of my kids and some of my own thoughts, and then I also do some like divorcey things that are appropriate, not like complete Debbie Downers. And I just don't know, I'm struggling if I should have two accounts. And to me, it feels like then I'm not my authentic self. And so I'm trying to, I would love your thoughts on, like, should somebody who is like lawyer role and parent role be two different worlds? I don't really mind sharing my personal stuff. I'm public. I'm very careful about what I put on. So I'm less worried about that piece of it, but I'd be really interested in your perspective on it.
There's a lot of dittoing in the chat for that question. So thank you for bringing that question up, Sophie. Yeah.
I think that it works to once in a while, like every, so Instagram is, you know, in a grid. I think that maybe having one every few lines of the grid is okay to kind of show who you are, who's behind the firm that's offering these services, and the reason why they can feel connected to you as a fellow potential divorcee. And yeah, I think that if you're doing it once every few posts, it's fine. And if you're wording the caption in a way that brings it back to the business, or as you can even do that simply by saying, hey, this is your founder, or this is your lawyer, so-and-so, or, you know, and just sharing a little bit about yourself in that way, I think is definitely okay. It's just when it becomes super consistent posts of your personal life, I would keep that on a separate account. So it's managing between once in a while posting those more personal posts and integrating your branded posts or your offerings and the memes that you're talking about posting.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm feeling with that, Sophie, to piggyback a little bit, like, I'm just curious to get a hand raise here. How many people here have multiple Instagram accounts? Right? So I think that there is a partitioning, you know, so like I have Stand for Fearless, which is the business one, and then I have Eduardo Placer, which is my own. So there's like my brand as myself, and then there's my business, which is different. And I think that specifically within the privacy conversation, like, you know, I'm a single man, you know what I mean? Like I know people are managing and protecting the images of their children and their family. I think that with a private Instagram account, you can keep it a little closer and you can manage that so that it doesn't cross over into the professional space.
Yeah. But also, like, say you, Eduardo, were to post once in a while a picture of yourself and explaining a little bit about yourself that brings it back to the work that you're doing for Fearless Force or Fearless Communicators. I think that works. Yeah. It's kind of a balance between those posts and the more business-centered posts.
Right. I would say that I think there are many people when they're consulting with lawyers, they want to know, are you a parent? They want to know, you know, if you have any similar, you know, anything with them in order to make them feel more comfortable. So that's what I've been struggling with. I would also just tell you that I have a Finstagram account in order to follow my clients to make sure that they act appropriately.
So you have a strategy.
She's a lawyer. She has a strategy. She definitely has a strategy. So with that, you know, so we're past our allotted time. So I just wanted to, one, acknowledge you, Jacqueline, so much. Elevated Sparkalaish for you and your participation on this call. So for everyone who's participating here, Jacqueline will communicate with you and send you the PDF of the presentation. Also, per Allison's request, there will be some information that she's going to share, perhaps on how to share her work and the different things that Allison specifically requested. Did you get what she wanted, Jacqueline?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so she's got it. Okay, great. And I wanted to invite you. One is, if this is your first time ever on one of our calls, to text 66866. And then in the, Deborah, if you can put it in the chat, so it's 66866. And then you're going to text the message Fearless Now. And then we have a special something to give to you, which will be, we call it 10 simple backstage tips to go from a speaker to a star. And it is like a little pocket guide that next time you have to stand up in front of a Instagram feed, you know, or a story and communicate from the heart. It's all the stuff to get you grounded in the moment so you can communicate as a person. I would say just trying to be a fucking person. And what's been emerging in this conversation around the stories and the stories that we tell, you know, for us as an organization that works on the storytelling piece of it, I am leading the Fearless Chat next Thursday, or this Thursday coming up. So Thursday at 5 p.m., I'm the one who's leading that conversation. And it's about the story of now. And that is the story that makes sense for you to be communicating now to the people who you are most committed to connecting with. Okay, so that's going to be on Thursday. That's a whole new conversation. We've never held this conversation before. It's a whole framework and context on finding the story that resonates in this moment to the people that you're looking to connect with. So we're going to have that. That's also free. It is a story of now. So I'll be sending you the registration link in the email that you'll get that'll have the playback from this. And we have a bunch of exciting things. Also acknowledging that February 5th, which is a Tuesday evening, will be the 4-year anniversary of our Fearless Force program. And we're going to be we have had over 100 women participate in that program from all over the world. And we're going to have a spectacular event celebrating the women in our community and what they're up to. And that's going to be an open party. So we're going to invite everybody to that. You get to meet all of our fearless women, several of whom are on this talk, which is super exciting. The last thing that I wanted to do is that I wanted to share something with all of you. And it was inspired as I was sitting down. You may have received an email that had a little ditty that I composed in context for the Corona situation that we are in. And I felt like I couldn't miss the opportunity. You are going to get the premiere of round 2 of the lyrics of my favorite things within this context. So this is round 2. Round 1 is already on Instagram and on Facebook, but this is going to be round 2, if I may humor you. And hold on, I was supposed to start with this, but instead it's going to be the grand finale. Okay, here we go. So this is my favorite things within a Corona context. Tigers and meth heads without teeth and t-shirts, claps out of windows for our healthcare stalwarts, drinking and baking and stuffing my face. God knows the next time I'll feel an embrace. Workouts with buddies on virtual platforms, co-working sessions and pivoting brainstorms, staring out windows and dreaming all day. Is it still April? When will it be May? When my mask tears, when my gloves rip, and I'm stuck in line. I simply remember the feel of a touch and crawl back to quarantine. Yeah. Yay.
So good.
So thank you so much for being on the call. If you are able to stay, we would just love for people to share around just quickly, quick takeaways that they got from this conversation. If you have to go, we totally get it. But if you feel like staying and sharing quickly with Jacqueline the key takeaways of this conversation, we would love to hear them. So Brian, do you have something to share?
I think just the concept of being heart-centered, and I love what someone in here shared was, rather than having the mask on, it's actually about taking the mask off, can be really powerful. So borrowing from someone who's more brilliant than I, but I love that.
Awesome. How about you, Sarita?
I just loved it. I thought it was terrific to hear from all of you. It's so wonderful to just meet you gradually over time. So I'm glad we have other ones, and I will give you permission when you need to close.
Okay, great. We will. Thank you, Sarita. Thank you for reminding me. How about you, Andy? Any takeaways for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just talked to a mentor of mine who reminded me, even though there may be financial stress and things like that right now, never forget that I need to practice something he refers to as relationship medicine. And so it really was in line with what Jacqueline said in regards to, I've taken a bunch of continuing education courses. I have some letters behind my name, but that doesn't sell. What sells is listening to the patient and focusing on what their needs are, and that really was my takeaway from this. So I really appreciate that. Right in line with what my mentor said. So I just need to keep like reminding myself that it's about that relationship with the client, not the letters and the continuing education courses and the things that look flashy.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Andy. How about you, Leslie?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. You know, I don't have just one takeaway. I was sitting here in awe the whole time, just soaking it all in. Jacqueline, thank you so much. It's so much information and a new world for me. This is going to be fun trying to put all this together.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie. How about you, Alessandra?
I'm just so grateful for Jackie. I mean, besides the documentary, besides being an amazing friend, I mean, for her to really be able to do holding for my NGO is for my nonprofit, for my charity, especially in a time like this, is so critical. And I think it's, you know, it's really hard right now to get the message out when everyone's trying to get their message out simultaneously and they're in need. And so I am going to go right back to that, just being authentic and being honest with what the situation is. And if people are feeling moved to help and to provide, then hopefully so be it. But just being truthful in the story and coming from our heart, that really is the foundation for what I'm taking away. So thank you for that.
How about the gentleman next to you?
Rico.
Everything was really interesting, and for me really interesting has been especially about the videos, because I can use it with lots of clients. Actually, it's a thing that I can really apply to my clients, especially who works in like hospitality industry or like wines, and it's a good thing for me. I never even thought about it actually, but I think it's one of the first things I'm gonna do when I can go back to Italy.
I also think that the two of you should have a picture with both of your white t-shirts and that background of hats. So
Right.
I think that's a gorgeous branding picture, by the way. I just see a lot of possibility in hashtag influencing that. How about you, Silvana?
So Brian, thank you for that shout out. Yeah, my biggest takeaway is actually, I believe, Jacqueline, you said removing the blindfold and revealing the truth. Because I think as I'm starting to kind of launch my MVP and build my business, I've been in search for this idea of identity and trying to find the right mask to put on, and not realizing that the journey in this is actually realizing that I've always been wearing a mask, and not really understanding that the power comes from actually removing the mask and being okay within myself. So thank you both and everyone here for, that big light bulb moment. As I go through my journey, this will definitely be in my blog. So I just appreciate sharing this moment with you guys. And just, I don't know, I'm very moved by all of you and through this journey. So I'm going to cherish that statement for the rest of my life. So happy to just be in this moment with you. So thank you.
Awesome, Silvana. Thank you very much. How about you, Yancy? Anything that you'd like to share?
I was afraid you were going to call on me. I'm trying to be quiet here in the corner and just listen and absorb everything. And I was just sitting down to write a note to say thank you so much. It was an amazing presentation. Really drilled down to the simple essence of what's important, and it's quite amazing. I'm in fashion. I've been in this industry for a very long time, and there's a lot of content right now about being vulnerable, about being heart-centered, about being thoughtful, earnest, and I think I'm really looking forward to what the post-COVID environment is going to be. It's going to be so completely different and so overdue, especially for my industry, which is the #2 polluter on the planet, and speaks to what I'm working on, trying to make every garment that's produced count. And I just feel like this is all sort of, crystallizing and coming together at this point in time. So thank you.
Awesome. And that blazer behind you is beautiful, Yancy, by the way. Silvana saw it, but I'm just like, yeah.
Thank you. Actually, that's what I'm doing is I make tuxedos for women.
I'm your girl.
So
hashtag tuxedo. Yeah.
And the idea is that everything is made to order. There's no inventory. There's no stock. And it's made to fit. It's bespoke. It's bespoke for women.
Please drop your link.
And I need to revamp my website and
who cares? We're already enrolled. We're enrolled. We want it.
Thank you.
So just make sure you put it in the chat so people can grab it because people want to find out. Christian, from Germany, correct?
Just have to start my mic. Yeah, I just enjoyed it again. And I loved what you said about to speak from the heart and be concise, because I tend to be verbose. Seems to be a little bit typical German thing also, but to speak from the brain and very verbose, but I'm learning.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Christian. How about you, Sophie?
That I have a lot to learn. That's always humbling. You know, I appreciate you both so much.
Yes. How about you, Morgan?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I have to say, Jackie actually has helped me quite a bit because she helped me come up with my story around social entrepreneurship and why it was important to me. And now she's doing my website for me. And so I've been able to learn a lot from her. And I think the one takeaway from today's call specifically was the piece around consistency. The consistency around digital branding is something that I don't always think about, but it's obviously really important. And so I think taking that to the next level across all the platforms and having that consistency is key. So thank you both.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And Kristen and Nalini, I don't know if you're on or able to share. Okay. No? Okay, I think it's enough. So thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you next Thursday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. For the story of now. As founder of Fearless Communicators, we always end by remembering to fear less, speak free, and always love more. So thank you so much. Mwah.
Thank you, everyone.
Say thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Eduardo.
Thank you.